The year is 1990-something, and a young one nerd is still finding his way in anime. There were, of course, Toonami and Adult Swim Action, which provided many other young people in my generation, like myself, with real anime outside the stuff like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!, basically stuff to sell toys. Heck, at the time, I still remember scribbling and saving change to buy the latest Dragon Ball GT DVD as they released. But while the era introduced me to shows and franchises that I would still be fans of years later, such as Lupin III, Case Closed, and Gundam, there was still something missing. Something I didn't know I needed until I saw it for the first time. Something that would truly awaken my fandom. A friend of mine from school who was also into anime, but more so into horror, it was actually him who introduced me to things like Evil Dead and the films of Rob Zombie. He brought me a DVD that he thought I would like, knowing that I was of course into anime like he was. Little did he know that he would be introducing me to my great anime love. This is Hellsing. In 1996, Kota Hirano, an up-and-coming but unknown manga artist, was doing what most young manga artists do, producing hentai manga, or, for the layman, porn comics. While he did have a few other works under his belt, it was this that would prove to be a springboard for his most well-known work. The hentai one-shot in question was called Hellsing, The Legend of Vampire Hunter, a simple story about an unknown, coat-clad stranger named Alucard, who has been sent to eliminate two rogue vampires who have gone on a killing spree, and at that moment, the two vampires in question have kidnapped and proceed to rape a young police girl, as well as biting her to suck blood. She is soon after rescued by the mysterious Alucard, who turns out to be a vampire himself, to the surprise of the others. The rogue vampires are quickly dispatched, and Alucard carries away the young police girl, informing her that she herself has become a vampire. The one-shot was published in comic Kairakuten, one of the most popular hentai magazines around, one that's still being published today. And it would end up serving as a pilot for a proper series. Hirano would talk about the fact that he was writing hentai because it was giving him the freedom to get work like this published, but soon after, he would create a new short story with a similar setting and characters, removing the erotic element and explaining more of the origins. And so, in 1997, he would have his newly formed Hellsing published in the manga magazine Young King Hours, a magazine focusing on teens and young adults, and would also publish such series as Trigun Maximum and Excelsior. Hellsing proper began like its pilot, with a lone man wearing a big coat and a bigger hat, taking a walk in the dead of night. But this time, we get to see a little bit more of the background, and are introduced to the Hellsing organization in full, along with its current leader, Sir Integra Fairbrook Wingates Hellsing. The last of the Hellsing family took over the duties after her father died, and she was almost killed herself by her uncle, who sought to usurp her for control of the organization. Luckily, her father left her a powerful weapon to protect her, and the United Kingdom from evil of all sort, supernatural or otherwise. That weapon was a powerful and mysterious vampire known as Alucard, who was currently being deployed to a massacre in a nearby church. It seems the vicar of Cheddar Village was a vampire and was converting the surrounding town to his ghoul army. Before Hellsing was brought in, a local police force was sent to check out these strange disappearances in the area. Unfortunately, they were no match for the ghouls, and were quickly killed, all except for one police girl, who managed to escape for the moment. Her name was Saris Victoria, a girl with a past of her own, who bears a passing resemblance to her pilot counterpart, apart from the major difference of blonde hair. Saris is soon captured by the vampire Vicar, who threatens to rape her over and over before biting her, so that she'll become a ghoul rather than a vampire. It's at this point I should explain the rules of this universe. In Hellsing, if a virgin is bitten by a vampire, they become a vampire themselves. Otherwise, they become a ghoul, a zombie-like creature under the command of the vampire who made them. This, funnily, is different from the original pilot one-shot, as the girl in question was very much not a virgin when she was bitten, yet becomes a vampire regardless. But many things were changed from Hirano's previous work. In fact, he had created a prototype of Integra in a previous one-shot called High and Low, which he ended up dropping for Hellsing. And the two rapist vampires from the pilot would be repurposed into mini-bosses in a future arc in the manga. Back to Saris, before she could be violated by the Vicar, Alucard finally arrives at the scene to help, which would not be the first time a conflict would be resolved by Alucard finally showing up on the scene. The Vicar, seeing Alucard as just a random weirdo who wandered into the wrong place at the wrong time, orders his ghouls to attack, who all empty their respective firearms into Alucard, leaving him a bullet-ridden pile. This is another distinction between Hellsing ghouls and your typical zombie. They can use tools and weapons, as well as follow orders, making them incredibly deadly in hordes. However, before the Vicar can get back to his dirty deeds, Alucard reveals his true nature, and a taste of his true power, by quickly and completely regenerating from his injuries. We are then introduced to Alucard's signature weapons, two twin large-caliber handguns, known as Jackals, which were named after the Bruce Willis film with the same name. Sometimes compared to Dante's guns, Alucard does have other comparisons and possible inspirations. His look in regards to his long red coat and glasses has many times been compared to Trigun's Vash the Stampede. With handguns in tow, Alucard makes quick work of the ghouls, before going after the Vicar, who in a last-ditch effort uses Saris as a human shield. Unfortunately for him, Alucard has a question for the police girl.
Are you a virgin, my dear?
What are you doing?
Once she answers, Alucard shoots the priest through Saris, and it seems like it's over for the police girl. But Alucard has a proposition for her, one that will begin a wider story with many more enemies, including the mad priest Alexander Anderson, who would be considered Alucard's chief rival through the series.
Our mission is to punish any heretic who would deny the word of God. We will crush your unholy body and salt the earth with your dust.
As well as allies such as the Hellsing family butler and longtime soldier, Walter, and even a Nazi or two. But before we get to the Nazis, let's focus on the turn the series took. You see, like most popular manga, an anime series was commissioned soon after, by Studio Gonzo, who had previously released fairly well-known anime Van Dread. Like most anime that comes out while the manga is still ongoing, the anime caught up to the story before it could be fully revealed the real scope of the conspiracy of Millennium. So, a new filler arc needed to be created, with a new villain. But, before that, as you can imagine, anime was a much different place in 2002 than it is today. DVD was king, making it easier to get anime not on TV, which in many cases was still a bit overpriced and sometimes only contained the dub. But it was still a growing trend that many companies, and even premium channels, wanted to take advantage of. Enter Pioneer Entertainment, later known as Geneon, who obtained the license to Hellsing and released the series on DVD and on the premium cable channel Encore as part of their Anna Midnight block.
There's going to be hell to pay in October on Anna Midnight.
You must be the Hellsing family's pet abomination.
His name is Alucard, an operative of the Hellsing organization.
The Hellsing organization's mission: search and destroy. Send over Alucard.
His partner Victoria. She came from the world of light into the world of night.
The battle we are joining now is unlike anything we've ever seen.
It almost sounds like you're enjoying this, Master.
Their orders to make the world safe for a better class of vampire.
They don't make vampires like they used to.
Hellsing, in October on Anna Midnight. The hunt continues Friday with orders 4 through 6.
The original Hellsing anime is one of my favorites of all time, rivaled only by the OVA remakes a few years later. Notable was the fantastic voice cast, consisting of many new and lesser-known voice actors. Most notable, of course, is the voice of Alucard himself, the legendary voice actor Crispin Freeman.
Children without faith. If you had any control, you would travel as fog or as a bat.
Who the fuck are you?
You've gone and taken all those lives, and not even because you were thirsty. Is it fun, huh? Is that what it takes for filth like you to get off? Cheap little two-bit terrors.
Still new to the game at this point, he had previously had a prominent role in Slayers, as Zelgadis Greywords.
Don't worry, I struck you with the backside. Oh, sorry. This is a double-edged sword.
But has since gone on to perform in many other roles, such as Hideki in Chobits.
I was planning to get through at least half the assignment before dinner. I haven't gotten anywhere at all in my studying.
Straight Cougar in Scryed.
Is radical good speed! Woo! Let's go! Because of my alter ability, I can make anything run faster!
And Kyon in The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
So that's why I haven't seen her during recess. Unbelievable. Hang on a second. Did you say she was a junior?
Well, so what if she is?
Yeah, it's Miss Asahina, wasn't it? Why pick her of all people then?
More recently, he still voices Itachi in the Naruto series.
I told you before when we fought against each other. We each live inside our own fantasies. I asked you to think about it that way. And about how one's reality might be an illusion.
And Gyomai Himejima in Demon Slayer.
Alas, to see such a pitiful creature as this, I grieve for him.
Not to mention the slew of non-anime roles, such as Speedy in Young Justice and Electro in The Spectacular Spider-Man, among others. To say Crispin Freeman is my favorite anime voice actor would be an understatement. It may be because I grew up watching a lot of his work, but the spark of that was definitely Alucard. It's also one of the reasons I still, to this day, have never actually watched either Hellsing series fully in its original sub. The dub is just that good. Speaking of anime, as mentioned, it was being made before the manga was even close to getting to the end, so a new big bad needed to be created. Enter Incognito, a Nosferatu-inspired vampire from Africa, played by voice actor Isaac Singleton.
The two of us, we're different.
What did you say?
The difference between us is you don't have a master anymore.
Who has played Thanos in various animated works.
If I can't hit you with the hammer, then I'll hit the hammer with you!
As well as the most recent voice actor for Sagat of the Street Fighter franchise. While the original series does not follow the manga to a T, even making changes early on, like the opening scene taking place in a church rather than outside, as well as giving us a completely different introduction to Alucard, as he hunts a vampire prostitute before going off on his mission to Cheddar Village.
No, wait! Please wait!
Out of the way, human. Unless you'd rather become a miserable little ghoul.
Not all these changes are born from the fact that the manga was not complete at the time of production, but they all help to emphasize the tone of the first series. While the manga and the later OVA series would be incredibly bloody, violent, and gory, the first anime series tones it down a bit. Not to say that the original series doesn't have all of those things, but you can tell there's a bit of a budget difference between the two. But the original series makes up for it with its tone and style. The original series was a relatively big hit in both the West and Japan, but mostly in the West, where we saw a good bit of merch being produced, more than usual for an anime series in that era. Since the manga was still going, it helped keep the hype of Hellsing going past the original show, thanks to Dark Horse Comics, who published the manga in America, one of the few mangas they do distribute, along with Berserk and Trigun. As the manga was starting to wrap up, a new OVA series was soon greenlit, much like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which was a sort of sequel series to adapt more closer to the incomplete manga. Hellsing Ultimate, or just Hellsing in Japan, would aim to be a more direct and perfect adaptation of the Hellsing manga, and it delivered in spades. Being released as 10 OVA episodes over the course of 6 years, from 2006 to 2012, each OVA would adapt one manga volume in full, giving it all the time it needed to fully adapt the series as needed. The series would originally be released by Geneon, like the first series, but during the run of the OVA, Geneon would shut down, leaving many of the distribution of their titles left up in the air, including Hellsing Ultimate. However, Funimation, now known as Crunchyroll, would take over the distribution of Hellsing and many of their other series. A lot of work went into the series on both sides of production, including getting back the main cast of the original dub, including KT Gray as Ceres.
Hi! Right this way, everybody! Everyone with a Japanese tone, right this way, please! Kochi desu! Right this way! We're walking. Kochi desu.
Victoria Hardwood.
Why on earth would a cheap bureaucrat like yourself know anything on the matter? How dare you even question my credentials? The Hellsing organization has been defending the British Empire from such monsters for generations.
And Stephen Brand as Alexander Anderson.
They are nothing but amateurs. Hellsing is practically a kindergarten compared to us. The Catholics, the Vatican, and the Iscariots. We were fighting against the forces of darkness centuries before the Hellsing organization even existed.
All of which are not really well known for anime roles outside of Hellsing. But we would see some of the newly introduced characters as established anime names, such as Yuri Lowenthal as Pip, French mercenary, leader of the Wild Geese, and love interest for Ceres.
No more foreplay. These Nazis want it rough and I'm feeling generous. Let's give them a wild night. Lock and load, man!
As well as new villains as part of the Nazi Millennium Organization, like Rip Van Winkle, played by Fooly Cooley's Carrie Walgreen.
Jetzt auf in Bergen und Klüften tobt morgen der freudige Krieg, das Walden flücht.
What is she singing?
It's Weber's Der Freischutz.
And Schrödinger, a werewolf femboy, played by Laura Bailey.
Oh dear. What is the problem this time, Herr Schrödinger?
Doctor, I'm sorry. I seem to have misplaced my handbook.
Oh, such trouble. What to do with you? Go share with the captain for now.
This series would be pretty popular for its run, even airing later on the revival of Toonami on Adult Swim.
For over a century, the Hellsing organization has served the British Empire, fighting a secret war against the forces of darkness.
There recently been multiple vampire attacks within their borders.
There's no use running.
Far too many to be pure coincidence.
Guns won't help you either.
We are the monsters that protect England from the other monsters.
You're agents of vampire?
He is nothing like any vampire you've ever known.
They tell stories of your amazing strength.
He is truly inhuman, this one. This stranger from the night.
It's time to educate you on how a real vampire does battle. Welcome to the eve of war.
Search and destroy!
It shall be done.
You will be cut down like straw.
Come on, Venom.
Hellsing does not run from our enemies! Kill them all!
I haven't had this much fun in ages.
Toonami is proud to present the 10-part OVA, Hellsing Ultimate, starting next Saturday night at 3. Open wide.
You made it. Congratulations.
Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
as well as getting an abridged series from Team 4-Star, which, like much of the abridged series from the team, started as a parody and turned into what is essentially a joke dump.
I'm at half-mast. I need to hear this.
Fine! You were right! Jump up your own ass and die!
But even after the peak of the show and the story completed, the legacy of the series lives on. Dark Horse recently released the manga as a series of 3 hardcover volumes, in the same style as their Berserk series and their upcoming Trigun hardcovers. And just recently, Good Smile, creators of Nenodroids and Pop-Up Braid statues, recently showed off their statues and figures based on both Alucard and Alexander Anderson, with more hopefully coming soon. There has also been constant rumors of a live-action adaptation as both movie and an Amazon series, but with the recent landscape of live-action anime adaptations, this seems less and less likely, considering how long it's been since we've got any kind of significant update. But even without a live-action version, the series still lives on in the hearts and minds of fans, who were there from the start, and hopefully, after watching this video, new fans will be inspired to give the series a look. It is available to stream on both Hulu and Crunchyroll, and of course, on home video, wherever better DVDs and Blu-rays are sold. If you're already a fan of the show your love down in the comments. If you're a new fan who just discovered this masterpiece that is Hellsing, let us know what you think in the comments. Until next time, this is the One Nerd, and I hope you have a good day.